Okay.
Welcome viewers, once again we are with you with as usual leadership discussion. This series security leadership discussion has been started with the purpose that well-known security professionals at the zenith of their professional career has so much to share, and their knowledge, their wisdom is so important for all immense value to security professionals. We also conduct similar discussions for safety professionals also. And in ICISS, we believe that security and safety are two functions which are complementary. And these two functions interact with each other so much that they should be maybe a composite function. As working security professionals, we know that organizational security has much more to do with the social and political decision making of an organization. Security isn't about the perfect technical fix, it is about working with all members of the team to make sure that they understand the issues and the value of security. The role of security management involves the identification of one's assets, buildings, people, products, information, and infrastructure, and the development and implementation of policies, procedures, and measures to safeguard these assets. For effective and economical security, the involvement of top management is essential. The periodic review and the risk assessment is equally important. We have with us Colonel Col Semwal, Chief of the Army Staff's Commendation Card. He is Senior Vice President, HSE&S of a French MNC involved in infrastructure development in India. With rich Army operational experience as staff and command level, Colonel Semwal has served in terrorist-infested areas, including J&K, with valor, courage, and distinction. He is awarded 4th Chief of the Army Staff's Commendations, and he has distinction of being man who changed the face of Bhatti mines in Delhi. He writes prolifically and appears on all national TV channels as defense analyst. He is also executive president of ICISS, which is conducting this YouTube live discussion. We are very proud and privileged, Colonel Semwal, to welcome you for this discussion. And you have been in position where, as part of your professional portfolio, security and safety, and also environment, health, and safety is composite function which you handle. And I do not think that anyone is better qualified to start the discussion with the kind of experience sharing which you have with our audience. How you see security and safety functions complementary to each other?
Thank you, Captain Tyagi, for giving me this opportunity to share my thoughts, my views on the subjects of safety, security, and so. So safety and security are both, they go parallel, uh, in function in any organization. When we talk about the security, it is a more of a physical security, security of assets, and so and so. The building, the infrastructures. But when you talk about the safety, safety is basically related or concerned to the human safety. Human safety, when we talk about in the occupational field, so it is the human safety in that particular occupation that we need to take care of, we need to think about it. And whereas security is related to various multi-dimensional, multifunctional role of securing an objective, securing a building, the people's security, the assets, and so and so. So the safety is basically related to the human safety, that we prevent accidents and we provide a safe working environment to the people, to the employees. Yeah.
Col Semwal, British Safety Council advocates the concept of merging duties of security and safety, and they feel it that security and safety is a composite function, complementary function, and it is very intelligent, also reasonable, practical, and workable, that one man handles the entire spectrum of activities which are focused on risk management. So the concept is not security management or safety management. The concept is risk management. How do you see that this concept, when accepted across the companies, organizations, that this will bring more efficiency and it will be economically beneficial also?
Yeah, certainly, Captain Tyagi. Now the what you call definitions, the dimensions of security have changed. As you said, that now safety is also becoming part of the security. Earlier, like we used to be, when we talk about the security, it was you can say physical security, access control, fire safety, and so and so. But now it is more and so very, very critical issues. Those are the risk management and crisis management. Now, as you said, the British Safety Council has kind of combined both the functions. I would say it is a time will come when it will not be only a safety and security, possibly the health, occupational health in an organization will also become a part of the safety, the security and safety combined operations. So gradually, as things are moving, things are nowadays. It is a few years back, as I recollect, the safety or the security, or particularly when it was safety, basically we would have a safety officers and who's a BTEC, and a fire officer, the chap who is qualified in the firefighting. So he is a safety officer. And security job were essentially left over or assigned to the qualified security professionals. But it is not so now. The things are changing. The dimensions of the complete operations are changing. It is now gradually becoming essential part of the management. And I would say not only management, but the top management as well. Depending upon the size of your operations in an organization, the involvement of top management is becoming more and more essential. And as I see in most of the industrial houses, the corporate houses, and so though they have had security professionals, safety professionals, but the strategy, the viability of the complete function is decided by the top management. It has become essentially a management function.
You are very correct when you highlighted that occupational health should also be part of the entire composite portfolio, because occupational health also deals the risk related to the
Yes,
employees,
yes,
and the employees
yes,
are the top most expensive assets which an
absolutely.
organization got. So when we talk about risk management, occupational health also manages the risk which are exposed to the employees. And then beside that, the fire, safety, health. And previously, it was kind of rhetorical response that part of the board, top management, board members, they used to say that because they need to be qualified, they cannot have any other function other than what they are assigned to. They were talking about safety, they were talking about fire, because for safety officer there is a qualification identified. For fire, executive fire officer and above, again there was a qualification attached to it. And they say that no, for security there is no qualification. So someone who gets into security keeps on working, and no essential stipulated qualification is required. But my approach, and those who have been following British Safety Council's approach, especially MNCs, when they operate, they find it very difficult. Why to have three different executives, one handling safety, other one handling fire, and third one is handling security? So my response used to be to the top management that what is required is maybe an ordinance, maybe an act. Parliament is doing precisely this job. We demand an act, we demand rule, we demand law, and they make it. So let demand develop. Here, Colonel Semwal, my point of focus here is that though it becomes very difficult for functional HODs to convince to management, but here is the time to convince the management effectively, because same management used during corona period. Safety people were not available. Fire people, they abandoned their job, and who remained at their post? Security people. They remained at the gate, they remained in the factory premises, they remained on shop floors, and they were doing duties beyond their call of duties. They were checking the temperature, they were sanitizing people, and doing lot many jobs, even attending fire calls. So same management today probably is ready to accept this concept. How do you suggest security professionals to capitalize on this and advocate in their organization to make it a composite function, with example of corona experience?
Yes. Captain Tyagi, in my personal views, like in the US, you have a Homeland Security Department. Now, with the changing scenario, the changing security scenario, internal safety, internal security scenarios, and the growth in the security industry and the demand and the challenging responsibility which are coming now, challenging tasks which are coming into the folds of security, I feel that the time is maybe in a few years' time. Even in India, we have under some ministry, maybe Home Ministry, we have a system or a department like a Homeland Security, which will take care of the complete private security agencies in the country. Now, the growth of the security industry in the country can be measured that, say, somewhere in 2016, the private security industry value in the country was about 55,000 crores. In 2019, it rose to about 90 crores. And it is expected that by 2022, the private security industry value in the country would be about 1.5 lakh crores. Okay, so you can see the dimension by and the size by which the security industry is growing, and the requirement of security is coming up and growing. There are various factors responsible for that: the social conditions, social economic conditions, and so.
Semwal, we lost your audio.
Yeah.
Col Semwal, if you can, yes, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the dimension of the security are changing now. Earlier, as I told you, security was restricted to few functions. Now it is encompasses, and now there are challenges required, something like your electronic security, your cyber security, and the new dimension of the internet protocol security. All these things have now come up. They are the new operations, new fields in the security industry. So definitely, there is a what call compelling demand, I would say, in the country, that the security industry is is given due importance at the national level. At the it is though it is legalized today, all security operations are legalized, but it is brought under some constitutional act, and so there's a pasara is there, but a national umbrella under which all the security industry would come up. That's my personal opinion, that the time is there. And now so many MNCs have come on the security in the world over. Many MNCs are working. They have spread their network, and those MNCs, the MNC security companies, are working in India. They have entered the Indian scenario, and those people would certainly not like to only deal with or only employ middle ranking security professional or safety professionals. They would certainly want top management of the corporate or the industrial house to be a part of that. So the safety security, it is going to be combined. That's my opinion, and it is going to be it cannot be left only to a middle ranking safety officer or security officer of a any organization. So it has to be the top management has to, and it has started involving. For example, in my own setup, every meeting that we start in the company, it starts with the health and safety and security. So that kind of importance is being given, and all the as the more and more MNCs company come in the company in the country, and the security companies also come in India, it's going to be a great adventure and great challenge, and it is going to be very well organized. Yeah.
Gloom time or bloom time, security needs going to go up as long wealth creation has not become illegal. With this kind of approach, we understand that when there is lawlessness, anarchy, and crime rates going up, security needs are going to go up. So that is the gloom time. And gloom time is that when society and country is progressing, industrial development is fast paced, wealth creation is healthy and going up and up, requirement of security is going to increase. But in both cases, gloom time or bloom time, we will very heavily depend on security, and that too very effective security, efficient security. And for top management, remaining situational awareness would be very essential part of their decision making, the quality of decision they take will be directly dependent on how accurately and up-to-date situational awareness they have. And in that, it becomes very essential that top management takes security as a management function. It cannot be as a staff function, it is leadership function. So, how you see that in today's industrial world, board members, directors, and CEOs, they get involved directly into security decision making. Do you see a healthy sign
Hmm.
or development?
Yeah, it is. And let me tell you, the circumstances, the the geopolitical, the socio-economic circumstances are uh, compelling the industrial houses, the organizations to have a very elaborate security arrangements and accept now if any organization has to grow in present day circumstances, considering the internal security and the law and order situation, anarchy, as I said. So, if an organization has to progress and protect, it can progress only when it protects its interest, protects its assets, its interest. If any organization wants that, then they have to have uh, top management involved in the all security related decisions. Secondly, the crisis management and the risk management are two essential functions which cannot totally be left to the middle ranking security or safety professionals. They are trained, they are trained to carry out those drills and procedures, but the planning, the decision, and the complete the viability of applications of the management planning, it is a top management decision. They have to decide, they have to get involved. Now if there is the management has to think about crisis management and risk assessment or risk management, then they have to deeply get deeply involved in these kind of planning and preparations and decision making. Execution on such, like you said, you gave a example of the corona and so and so. During corona period, all these things were left, physical checking, every aspects was left to the middle ranking or lower ranking security professionals. They were the one who were doing it. But the top management had some plan, already made some plan, considering their crisis or risk and so and so. So it essentially, considering these two aspects of the management or safety security function, is the crisis and the risk management. So for this, the top management had to get involved in their complete planning and their strategy, business strategy.
Col Semwal, you have been and you are continuously either into security or security, safety, and health and environment function. You remain in functional top position. You are also executive president of ICISS, in which this council with our members, we do thought-provoking session. Probably this is one of the session through which our security professionals, those who are member of council, will have ideas how to convince top management to see that they get directly involved into security management, and the security head directly reports to the CEO. In many organizations, there is part of hierarchy somewhere, intermediate level, security heads are asked to report to someone, and who reports to top. But it is very prudent and practical that security head reports to the organization head at the director level. If not CEO, at least the concerned director. So, what are the points you would share with our members which will help them to have right reporting system in their organization?
You see, Captain Tyagi, now the circumstances are developing in such a way that the top management of any organization is they are now inclined, they are in a way, I would say, compelled to be an proactive in the safety decision making and be making security safety as a top management function. If, yeah, it is, you're right that in most of the cases, the safety or the security head is not reporting to the organizational head, but somebody else. That may be for the convenience of the organizational hierarchy. But in my opinion, even the top management also are involving themselves. They are getting the feedback and they keep an eye on this. They totally not leave it to number 2 or number 3 chap in the organization. But in many organizations, as you said, it is being done. That safety security head is reporting to some director or somebody else, and he is the one who is looking after the thing. But even in this case, it is not would call issue to be very critical about it or to criticize it, because you still have the access to number 2 in the company, in their company hierarchy, organizational hierarchy. But if it is directly to the head of the organization, then what happens? The decision making, the two-way traffic, the input and the output, it travels fast, and decision making becomes fast. Now, our people, the security people, they have to. One is that they must have an absolute plan for all the risk mitigations, for all the challenges that an organization has. Those plans, those challenges must be thought of, and accordingly, their plans must be made, and their drills and procedure must be rehearsed, because the crisis and the risk will crop up all of a sudden, particularly the crisis. Any crisis, it will not give you any warning. Crisis doesn't give you any warning. So you have to be well prepared as a security professional. You have to be well prepared, and maybe in your 2 years, 3 years, 5 years time, there is only one crisis. And if as a good professional, you have managed that crisis well, which is expected from you, if you have managed that well, then you are in the good book of the top management. So one is that all security professionals must have their drills, their procedures in place. And they must, it's not that something is written, some procedure is written about 2 years back, you just keep following. You must update. All security people, they must update they carry out their regular assessment of the security assessment or safety assessment in an organization, and must keep themselves updated with the advanced security gadgets, technologies, what's happening in the world, and also carry out regular assessment, analysis and assessment of the risks of the security threat to their organization, and update their procedures and the drills. This is what is will keep you alive. And you, as a security professional, you have to be a live wire. You cannot be like, okay, I've done security diploma, I'm so and so, and I have my 20 years or 15 years of experience in the security. So I am a expert in the security. No, you have to be always a student and keep yourself alive with the environment. Keep your knowledge updated. What is happening? It may not be directly related to your functioning, your role and responsibility at that particular time in one organization. But if you keep yourself alive with the environment, what is happening around and all, it adds on to your knowledge. It adds on to your competence and your capability. And it adds on to your, what you call, um, profile. And it adds on to your value in the end of the day, at the end of the day. So this is very essential. Keeping yourself updated. Firstly, keep yourself updated, your own knowledge. Then keep the job related. Keep your analysis, your threat assessment, your risk assessment. Regularly analyze them, and accordingly modify and practice. Practice is very, very essential. You have a system in place. Procedures are there in place, but you don't practice it. Then what will happen? In the time of crisis, it may not work. For example, you have a fire hydrant, fire hose in all the high-rise buildings. But if these are not tested, not checked regularly, periodically about their functionality, then when the crisis come, they may not function. So you live in a false kind of a security that yes, we have good firefighting system in the building, and we had spent about 15 lakhs or 20 lakhs in installing the fighting equipment in the building, and it is fine. No, it may not be fine. At the time of crisis, it may not work. So you have to continue, review and practice. Procedures, practice, review, update yourself.
Col Semwal, in between there was a question, and I will read it out for you. Question is that I am reporting to HR, head of the department, who in turn reports to director HR. And at local plant level, security heads are reporting to project in charges, who report to director project. Now this is something which creates a lot of confusion and communication gap, because at corporate level, security head is reporting to director HR and director HR is reporting to CEO. At project level, local security in charge is reporting to project in charge, and project in charge is reporting to director project. So director HR gets some input, director project gets some input. From field, director project is getting, from corporate office, director HR is getting. So this is kind of situation which is better avoided. So how do you respond to it?
Yeah, you see, in most of the somehow it is in our mindset, and that security or the safety professional will report to the HR head, whatever, at the corporate level or so and so. It is in our mindset. But when you come to the site or the project level and so, they are definitely, because the project coordinator or project director, project head of a particular project, he is coordinating, he is in know of everything, what is happening in terms of production, what is happening in terms of the finances, particularly that project, what's happening in terms of the labor and the human resources in that project. So that's how, for the organizational convenience, the safety, security people are put under the project head or the HR head. It's for the organizational convenience, but in many organizations, the security head is directly reporting to the organizational head. Now, this situation in relation to this particular question, the situation will have to be managed, and since it is in the mindset and the organizational hierarchy is like that, so you cannot escape, you cannot deviate from that. You have to, for the organizational convenience, you have to follow that procedure. And if you don't follow that procedure, if you say, no, I am telling you the practically. If you say, no, I will not report to him, I will not report to the project head, I will report to somebody else, or report on top only, then probably you are creating problem for yourself. Yes, what should be done is that there should be a parallel reporting. The project in charge, the project safety or security head, he reports to the corporate safety security head. There's a parallel reporting. So in that case, any misinformation, any misguided note, or the possibility of anyone giving a wrong feedback to the organization is ruled out. That is very, very essential. Have the parallel reporting, and then at both the level, at the corporate level also, it must be collated. Whatever information you are getting, whatever feedback you are getting, and what you are with your experience, you collate, and then you give the input to your boss in the corporate office or the company head. But as of now, the time will come when more and more responsibility, for example, a stage is going to come, because organization would not like to keep 4 or 5 separate safety professional, security professional, and then the health and environment and so and so. So one chap may have to carry out multi-functions. Like in many of the MNCs company, there's a combined profile. It's called health, safety, and environment. Like I'm taking care in my setup. So health, safety, and environment, now, and the security. Now, when you have multi roles and you are controlling various functions in an organization, then probably you will have a direct access to the top management. So if your role or responsibility is limited to one function only, then this kind of a thing will happen. Your what you call hierarchical reporting at the project level, then at the HR level, and so, it will happen. But once you get involved into multi roles, multi responsibilities, sharing multi responsibilities, then of course your reporting will be, it definitely will change. That is what my personal experience is, and that is what I suggest people.
There is another question which relates to getting the budget approval.
Yeah.
Probably this is the pain point for all security and safety professionals. In relative terms, safety professionals do get approval readily, but security heads really need to struggle very hard to get the budget approved. And one of the viewer has asked the question that those people in finance department who has not been exposed to threats, those who have not gone on patrol in the middle of winters, they ask the question of illumination or dragon light, why it is needed, and how much to be spent. And here, this viewer has made very specific mention that for bomb threats, there was a requirement of camera. And finance executive observed that everyone has got a smartphone nowadays. Use that. Why to buy a dedicated camera? Probably he is not realizing that taking photograph of suspect ID is not that easy that you go close with a smartphone and take the photograph. You probably
Yeah.
need a very high definition, long focus length,
Long range.
kind of specific cameras. So this is the kind of situation I think many times security professionals face. What would be your advice to such security executive? Because probably to me it appears, maybe it is part of the answer to that question, that logical and very practical input security professionals fail to share. Argument they fail to subscribe to their need. How do you react to this?
You see, Captain Tyagi, ironically, this is the situation not only in the, I'm talking in the country, not only with the industries and so and so, this is the situation at the national level also, in the ministry level also. Like what rifle, what weapon is required to be purchased, uh, the way I'm talking about in a general way, that when the army wants to purchase some ammunition, some arms, and the proposal is sent up in the Ministry of Defense. So there, a desk officer or undersecretary who was working with agriculture minister and on promotion he has come, and now he is undersecretary in the MOD. He writes on the file, who has never would have not seen a rifle or any weapon. He sent that file back with his own inexperienced comment, inexperienced, uh, uh, totally lack of knowledge, and he decides, and he sends the file back. Then the people give more input. Then again it goes to him. Then again he has some doubts because of his he has no experience. He still has some doubts. So he sends the file back. So similarly, this is the mindset in the people of the country, that when there's a crisis, then the safety, then the security, then the army is required, it is needed. So you normally, safety, security people, the army, the defense forces are remembered and recognized and identified and worshipped during crisis only. That somehow it is the irony of the fate, this kind of a mindset, the psychology that we have in India, in our country. It's not so in Israel.
So,
It's not so in, it's not so in Japan. It's not so in many other countries. But we have that kind of a mindset that people feel that yes, it is my authority, without really, realizing, is there a need to raise a question on this, or we should simply allow it. As you said, that somebody from the finance, he wrote on the noting, yes, or said that everybody has mobile phones, there's no need. So that fellow is ignorant. He doesn't know what is the requirement to, cope up or challenge in such situations. How can a mobile? Can you go with that? If there's an ID fitted there, and if it is a remote ID, will a chap be able to go with the mobile and take a photograph of that ID and then later on analyze? So you need a high definition, long range cameras for that. So, but somehow the finance people, they put their foot down, or they send their requirement, they defer the need, they defer your requirement. Okay, baad mein karenge. So we, for few more years, I think we'll have to go with this, accept, live in this environment where you have to accept these kind of a challenges and work with the lot of such challenges. These are your professional challenges, and I can say that the security professional have to be or have to accept this kind of a working environment and accept these challenges. And with their own wisdom, with their own knowledge, and what you call countering, considering a particular situation that you have countered, citing those examples, you can make your way slightly easy. But as far the mindset is concerned, the finance, the other people, the HR people, even the HR chap, he would know, he may not be able to control the other class 4 employees in the company or any government ministry and so. But they would like to always boss upon on the security people. Yes, we know it, without having any personal experience or any qualification with related to the security.
In fact, the parallel which you have drawn, security professionals or members of armed forces, they are remembered only in time of crisis, and both face same kind of a struggle to get their budget approved. The viewer who has asked the question has also given his response, how he handled, and probably that will be beneficial to all our viewers. And he said that the requirement of good camera was as part of SOP to respond to bomb threats and identification of suspect ID. And he said that as security head, it was my responsibility to form the teams for different purposes. So he said, next time when security drill was going on about search and securing suspect ID, he said finance department was made responsible to cordon off and take the photograph. And he said that the file which was pending for so long, next day was approved. So probably when they face the situation, they realize the intensity and gravity and importance of it. Top management, for that reason only, need to be directly involved in security management. Yes, Col Semwal, you were saying something.
Yeah. I would like to cite one example, one practical live example on this issue. The army had projected that's a requirement to purchase some snow scooters in Siachen areas. When the army took over control of that area and made posts and also.
Yes, I remember that.
They projected requirement for some snow scooters, and the file was sent back once, twice, thrice by the MOD people. When George Fernandes became defense minister, again the file went to him. I mean, when he became the defense minister, the file went to him. He saw the file and all this thing, and he called the senior people of the army, the vice chief and so, to discuss about it. So he said, "Sir, this is what has happened. The projection was made thrice or 4 times earlier also. It has always been coming back, and the people are citing certain reasons, certain whatever, giving some excuses." So what he said, okay, he called those people in the MOD who were writing notes on the file, why it should not be provided and why it is so cost effective and so and so. It is very costly and so and so. So about 3-4 of them, including our deputy secretary and the desk officer and the under secretary and people. So he asked them to go to Siachen, and they were sent to Siachen. He asked those people to spend 15 days in Siachen. Those people went there and they returned back half dead after 4 days. They all had something. They just could not, cope up staying there for 4 days. So they came back. And in the next week itself, the file was cleared. The file was cleared and the army bought snow scooters. So this is what is there. Unless you know yourself, you face that pinch. You feel that pinch. Oh, how it pains. You don't really realize. The people, I like people sitting in the AC environment and all. Even in the infrastructure and so, a chap who's making road on a hot summer month of June, May, June, and so. His experience vis-a-vis engineer or design engineer who has designed the thing sitting in the AC office is totally different. His perception and the chap sitting in the office, the design engineer who's used to sit, who's not in the operations, who is only in the designing. So he will not understand the practicality of the difficulties and the practicality of actual operations. So similarly, even the security professionals will have to cope up with like this, maybe for a little few more years. And any organization, when it grows in its size, in its volume, in its business, then there's a always you will find there's an improvement in every aspect, even in the security and the safety and so. Few years back, I was attending a seminar in one of the place, safety seminar, when we were talking about the accidents and so and similar thing, that the people do not give due importance to safety. To safety, that safety is left at the middle level people only. So there were people from the Home Ministry also, people from the Labour Ministry. So one senior fellow from the Labour Ministry, he said, yes, what could be what do you suggest? What is the answer? So I got up and I said, the answer is very simple. The answer is very simple. Wherever I was talking about the construction or industry and so and so. I said, wherever if there's a death occurs, occupational death, fatal case, you send the top man of that company to jail for one night. Send it, whether he is responsible, whether he knows what has happened. If the top man is, there are 30 projects all over India. Top man is not really responsible for every project. He's not knowing about what is happening. He's at the very different level. But I said, you send the top man of the organization to jail for one night. It will not come in his record. Okay, well, he was convicted, he was criminal, and so and so and so. But you send him to jail for one night. Let him spend one night in the jail. And the very next day, the complete organizational approach will change. It is a very drastic step. But if you want, because safety, security, these things are the kind of a policing. And everybody doesn't like when you talk about the safety or the security. So you need to follow certain procedures. You need to follow certain restrictions are there. And we, by nature, we don't want any restriction to be imposed on us. So we don't like security. We don't like that kind of a safety, protocols. We don't want those to be followed. So it has to be top driven. And how it can be top driven otherwise, either your top management, they themselves are so sensitized about it. They are very sensitive about it. They know the value of it. They know, or they have the personal experience. Then they are, or otherwise, there also some sword is hanging on their head. Then they will take care. If there's an act is made properly, as of now, there is no act related to that. All these acts they come under the IPC. Some death, some injuries, and all this thing. Legally, they come under the IPC. So they are registered under various IPC. But there has to be some, if an act is enacted, some laws are made for the industrial, I would say, Industrial Protection Act, for example. Okay, that Industrial Protection Act lays down certain things, certain parameters, certain guidelines, and also the punishment for violation. So then the entire thing will be smooth, will streamline.
So
some kind of
Col Semwal, we are at the end of the discussion, and I feel very delighted and satisfied to interact with you. And I am sure our viewers are also benefited with the quality of response you have. It is with rich experience, practical experience you have. The knowledge you share today is going to be very useful for safety and security professionals, and let them think that it is a composite function, it is complementary function, and let them approach their top management with right kind of argument, facts, and I would say principal approach, that it is such an important function that it cannot be relegated to second line leadership. It must remain always a top line leadership responsibility. And our viewers, you are immensely useful to us. We have motto in ICISS to professionalize the professionals. With that purpose in mind, with that objective, we always conduct such discussion. The series of discussion which is going on is called as security leadership discussion. Next discussion will also be very important. We touch upon another functional aspect for security and safety professionals. So keep tuned in, subscribe to the channel. Links are always shared. Even in the description box, link is available. The moment we close this discussion, this will be available on YouTube. You have to only click the link which was shared through various social media such as LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. Wait for our next discussion, and till then, we remain hopeful that you will be happy, healthy, and safe.